It's no secret that psychedelics are now making their way to the forefront in terms of helping people with PTSD, depression, addiction, and a lot of other mental illnesses. Last year, America's first ever research center dedicated to exploring the application of psychedelics was opened at Johns Hopkins University through $17 million in donations. It's crazy to think that psychedelics have come this far since the anti-drug ad campaigns of the 1970s. By the way, have you guys seen those? Because they're kind of crazy and hilarious.
Webster defines the word now as meaning at the moment or at once. Seldom has a nation been able to witness such an explosion, a new mass mind, a nowness as it takes place. Today, we are seeing it.
Well, I'm really glad that psychedelics have taken on a new light in modern day because that means that I get exposed to them. And boy, did I get exposed to them starting in the summer of 2016. Before I start, I want to say I do not condone the use of these drugs. I don't think you should be using them. It could be really detrimental if you're in the wrong setting or if you're not having the proper guidance. I am simply sharing my experience, so don't do them. So it was 2016, and I was in my friend Nick's red room, and we called it the red room because, well, his attic was red. We just picked up a whole sheet of tabs from one of my sister's friends, and I was ready for my first ever trip. I decided to take one tab because, I'd never experienced it before. I didn't want to be losing my mind at how much I was tripping, but my other two friends I was with had done it before, so they decided to take two. About 30 minutes to an hour had passed, and we were playing FIFA on my friend's outrageously big flat screen TV, and I didn't really feel anything. I thought. Well, maybe it's like weed and it just takes a lot to actually feel it the first time. I think I saw a video online saying that too. So I decided to throw another one on the back of my tongue and see if that helped. Maybe you just need more time, my friend who I wasn't with texted me after he asked how I was doing, and I replied, But it was time to get up and go to the local park where me and my high school friends used to hang out and drink. There was at least 6 or 7 of them already there, and a few girls were there as well. So we head out and we start walking. We're on a long street that takes us all the way from my friend's house to the park. And I'm looking at the cars parked on the road, but something seems off. Oh yeah, something was off. I couldn't see the tires on the cars. And this is when it started to hit hard. We get to the park and everyone's there, and I'm a little nervous because I've never been in this state of consciousness before. The most I could say to the girls was hi and bye when they were leaving shortly after we got there. So it was just us boys in the park on a summer night with a small speaker and loads of time. Obviously, I can't remember much details from that first trip, but I do remember my strong sense of euphoria, of being connected with everything and constantly looking up at the sky to see the waves of colors pulse through it. My friends were already there and they were in a good mood. That definitely helped a lot, and I just remember being so entranced by all the little details in the park, from the gravel we stepped on to the texture of the brick wall we would all sit on. And the pure darkness of the park made the hallucinations even stronger. I remember looking at my friends' faces and watching them warp to the point where they looked like creatures. Not that they, look like creatures usually. Actually, they do. And I remember I veered off to go take a piss by a tree, and as I looked up, 2 massive trees resembled the first 2 Hokages from Naruto. So right behind me right there is the actual hut where we used to hang behind in order to drink and smoke when we were underage. It looks a lot different now because it's actually renovated, and the hut used to be completely vacant, but now there's actual bathrooms in there for the park that I'm in, and there's lights on the hut. There wasn't any of that before. It was kind of run down. It was the spot to go in high school. I really do miss hanging out here with all my friends. I don't really remember much of the rest of the night, but we went back to my friend's house. I slept over there, and needless to say, didn't get much sleep, and the next morning was very painful. I went home after my mom picked me up from my friends. I took a nap, and I woke up crying. All these new emotions and realizations I had not experienced before were pouring out of me. I apologized to my parents for not spending enough time with them. I felt like I just didn't do enough for them. The acid hangover was real, and it was bad, but in a good way. And after all of this, my perspective on life changed forever. After my first trip, I had a boost in mood for the next several months, and that has happened every time I've tripped since. I now see the world differently in a way that's kind of hard to explain, but I'm gonna do my best. Basically, reality through a normal, sober human's mind feels almost less real than reality while on psychedelics. It's like on psychedelics, I was able to see more of what reality could actually be, and that is the fact that reality, no matter how it is viewed from a human, is a hallucination. The way our brain is compiled is the reason we see the colors and objects and textures the way that we do. It doesn't mean that the human brain is the only real and correct way of reality. What psychedelics did for me is that it taught me that an open mind and a different view on things can give you an insight into the interconnectivity of the universe. And I hate that when talking about psychedelics, it just sounds like you're a crazy person. I hope this resonates with some of you guys, but I feel like I'm going to have people who are going to view this and they're going to be like, what are you talking about? You're insane. Psychedelics made you insane. You know what? Screw yourself. There's a reason you feel so at peace with everything and so euphoric on psychedelics. It's like a gateway to seeing more of what the universe could really be. Psychedelics also bring a lot of subconscious feelings and thoughts that I can never dig up with my normal brain to the surface. These thoughts can be painful realizations, but after every trip, I never think to myself, wow, I wish I never dug up that painful thought from deep within my mind. It's actually made the process of accepting those things I don't like to accept about myself a lot easier. Now, since that summer of 2016, I've taken LSD 2 more times, I think, and then psilocybin mushrooms 4 times. I never really plan when I'm going to do it. I like to think that psychedelics will come to me at the right time, and when I actually get presented the opportunity to do it and it feels right, I'll just do it. I never really make a plan out of it. Psilocybin definitely produces a bit of a different trip from LSD in that it's a little less intense, it's shorter, and it's almost less visual. But you definitely still get some crazy visuals, depending on how much you take. I've never had a bad trip on psychedelics, but on the come up, I'll sometimes have severe anxiety and paranoia for a little while, but that goes away. And I feel like I can control that paranoia a lot better on mushrooms than LSD. So maybe you want to go for psilocybin mushrooms first if you want a little less intense, more controlled experience. But don't get me wrong, I mean LSD is amazing too. And they're both still very intense. They also make your mind go a million miles a minute. You might find, as I do, that your thoughts run like crazy, but actually trying to form them into words is near impossible. And putting what you're seeing into words is near impossible too. What you see on psychedelics goes against the rules of human dialect. Now, should this scare you from the experience? Absolutely not. I think that everybody should try psychedelics at least once in their life. Just make sure you're in a comfortable setting with good friends, good music. Maybe one of those friends is sober to help you as a guide, and just relax and put yourself in a good mindset. Just sit and observe what's going on, enjoy it, and maybe you'll have the same radical, life-changing experience that I had way back in that summer in 2016.